Hey guys. All right, so today we're actually going to do a video on balancing. I'm going to give you guys some balance progressions and things to play with, but a huge component or factor of balancing is how supple and strong your feet are, how much those intrinsic muscles are able to work with you. And because we wear shoes way more in our day than we're actually barefoot and walking around, our feet get weak, they get stiff. Shoes don't allow us to really get true feedback up from the floor half the time because they don't actually adhere to our arches. They don't allow the big toe to be able to have firm contact. We can't roll through our foot nicely a lot of times in shoes. So I decided to start this video actually with some really simple footwork that you can do at home to kind of wake up your feet, get them moving and more mobilized. That way when we get to the balance portion, hopefully you have a really good idea of what your feet are telling your body, that feedback and sensory input they're getting from the ground up through your ankle, knee, hip joint, up into your abs, etc. It literally is all connected. So before we start with the footwork, I want you to just stand with your feet hip width apart. Feel like you're lengthening out through the crown of your head so we know you're not slouching. Close your eyes. Just feel your feet into the floor. You don't have to necessarily notice anything particular or look for anything in particular, but do take note if you do feel something specific. Maybe weight more in one foot. Maybe you're putting more weight towards your toes versus your heels. Maybe it feels like one foot's more connected to the ground than another. Whatever the case may be. And then go ahead and open your eyes. And then we're gonna go ahead and actually sit down. So if you need to stop the video real quick, make sure you do have something to actually sit on, because for this first part of the footwork, it's gonna be a lot easier on your hips if your hips are at least a little elevated. I'm using literally Pottery Barn cushions that I got when I was like 10 years old for Christmas. So no shame in whatever you want to use. But go ahead. I'm going to take my right foot. I'm going to cross it over my left knee to start with. And I just want you to start with just gently kind of massaging your foot. I know some people really don't like feet, so this might be kind of ugh for them. But hopefully since it's your own feet, it's not so bad. It's just a little squeeze. It's just kind of waking up the foot. And then just give it light taps. Tapping is a really actually good sensory exercise. It kind of wakes up all the receptors around the joints, in the tissues. Make sure you're getting all around your foot. All right, now I want you to take your hands, kind of like you have lobster claws, and place them around the sides of your foot here. I'm holding onto my big toe bone with my right hand, and then my left hand is cupping the rest of my foot, okay? Now, my right hand that's holding that big toe joint is going to hold my foot stable, so that part does not move. My left hand that's holding the rest of my foot is the part that will now move. So I'm gonna take the rest of my foot, except for that first toe bone, and I'm just gonna gently mobilize it front to back, almost as if you're trying to slide those bones just right next to each other, kind of like a typewriter, or I always think of like tectonic plates. I don't even know if people would know what that is if I say that. I don't even know how I remember that. That's like 5th grade science. But you're just sliding them. And again, I'm holding my right hand still. I'm just moving my left hand. And just notice if you're like, oh, that feels kind of stiff. I feel like I should have more movement there. Or you might be going, whoa, that's a lot of movement. Now, you're gonna move that right hand, find that second toe bone, okay, below the toe itself. It's actually in your foot. Left hand moves out a little bit. Now stabilize with the right hand. Just gently glide and shift with the left, front to back. Gently moving. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Good. And now go down one more. So right hand now moves to that third toe. You can always follow it down if you need to. Left hand moves over a little more. We stabilize with the right hand. And now we're just sliding with the left. Noticing if you might notice that as you're going outside towards the fifth metatarsal with your left hand, that the movements might be getting a little bit easier. And that's because there is just more movement out there. It's not as rigid. There's not as many connecting pieces towards the outside of the foot. And then lastly, I'm holding on to most of my foot now with my right hand. My left hand is taking the outside, that fifth metatarsal, and it's mobilizing front to back. Don't be too rough with this one, okay? Because it already moves pretty freely. It's a gentle mobilization. Good. Now, continue holding your right hand on the top of your foot. So it's holding the majority of my foot. My left hand, I'm gonna hold my foot up, is gonna come under my heel like this, okay? So with those two in place, I want you to pretend like your foot is a towel, and we're gonna wring that towel out of its water. So I'm gonna rotate the top part of my foot up towards my face while I gently feel as if I'm trying to rotate my heel downward. Again, don't force it. This is meant to be gentle. You're not gonna get a ton of movement here. Now let's wring it the other way. So I'm gonna bring my foot facing down towards the floor as I think of lifting my heel up towards my face. Just gently go back and forth like that. Moving both hands, wringing out the towel. Again, don't force it, especially the heel. The calcaneus, it's a pretty rigid joint. It's not meant to have a lot of movement to it, but it should move at least a little bit. More so with functional movement than anything else. So just don't try to make anything happen that you feel maybe isn't happening. And relax. Go ahead and take that foot down. Now, I want you to go ahead and stand up. Get your feet set, close your eyes, and just get an idea of how that right foot feels compared to the left. I know for me personally, my whole right side honestly feels just more awake than my left side. My left side kind of feels like dead weight right now. All right, so once you have that observation, sit back down and let's switch feet. All right, so starting from the very beginning, now I'm gonna take my left hand and I'm gonna place it on my first metatarsal bone, that big bone, and my right hand is now going to claw the majority of my foot. I stabilize my left hand, I'm not letting it move, I'm holding that bone, and I'm taking my right hand and I'm gently shifting and sliding those bones across each other. You might notice here, like, ooh, this foot's got more movement or less movement than the other one. This is where you really start noticing some of the differences. Gently shifting. Now let's move down a little bit. So follow the second toe right below the joint. Grab on with your left fingers. Right hand is now on the last three toes. And you're gently moving it front to back. Maybe I could even say, kind of reminds me of like, not a meat grinder, but those huge turkey slicers, like Jimmy John's or a deli. You're just shifting back and forth, but hopefully you're not actually slicing anything off. And then again, we shift down, find that third toe, follow it down to where you feel the bigger part of the bone. Right foot is on right hand, is on the very outside of the foot. So you're gonna get a lot more movement here now. And it's funny, for me, I have more movement with this in my left foot than I do my right. And then shift down one more, find that fourth toe. You're grabbing onto most of your foot with your left hand now. It's all stabilizing. Your right hand has your fifth metatarsal. You're just gently gliding front to back. Remember, this one has a lot more mobility, so don't force it. It should just be gentle. Think of applying like 1 to 2 pounds of pressure. Or you can even think of if that's just like, I don't know what that feels like. I don't blame you. Think of it like you're dealing with a newborn baby, right? Super gentle. That's how you want to treat your foot. Now, we're going to do our wringing out. So my left hand is going to come all the way around my foot and it's going to stabilize there. My right hand is going to come to the bottom of my heel like so. And now I'm going to twist gently. So I'm going to lift my foot, the top part of my foot, up towards my face as I think of bringing my heel down towards the floor, and then I'm reversing that. Gentle wringing. Again, remember, like I said before, the calcaneus isn't meant to have a ton of movement to it, but it should move at least a little bit. A few more times, continuing to breathe. And then take your hands off. Let's stand back up. All right, feet on the floor, growing tall, and just observe again. See if you feel a difference from left to right, or just from before and after. And open your eyes, and let's sit back down. Not quite done yet with those feet. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on some intrinsic foot work. This is a really challenging part, and you're probably gonna laugh at yourself as you're doing this. Some of you might get frustrated with yourself. Try not to. We don't practice things like this, so we're not going to be very good at them, especially when we first start doing them. All I want you to do with your feet out in front of you and down on the floor, you're gonna lift your toes up and then place them down. That's it. Lift the toes and lower, and lift and lower. And even just doing this might be challenging for you, and that's okay. Brain to body connection, when you're not really ever focusing on intrinsic strength like this with your feet, it can feel super frustrating at first. It takes a second to make that connection and get that rewiring going. Now, if that feels okay for you, you're gonna lift both toes and try to splay them outwards like a fan, and then release as they come back down. Toes lift and splay, and then they release down. Splay the toes, ooh, it's hard, and release. Some people are really good at this naturally. I am not. So if you're feeling the same way as I am at home, just know you're not alone. And if doing both feet at the same time is too much, then just do one at a time. You can always isolate it, and you can always pause the video and follow along with me once you feel like you're ready. A few more times. Lifting, splaying out like a fan. And relax down. Shake it out for a second. Because we're going to try to add on to even that. Now again, if those first two are hard enough for you, then just keep doing that for a second. Otherwise, follow along with me. I'm not going to be able to do these even close to perfectly. So it's good to practice regardless. We are going to do this next one foot at a time. So let's start with the right foot, just because it is most of our dominant legs and tends to be a little easier for most people to get that right foot moving. Not everybody. But I want you to peel your toes off one at a time and then place them down one at a time. Kind of like if you're doing like, think of it like scales on a piano. I never played the piano, but that's just kind of what I think of. So lifting big toe, middle toes, baby toe, and then you place it down. Baby toe, middle toes, and big toes. I have a hard time with that. Again, lifting from the big toe, middle toes, baby toe, and then placing it down the same way. Now you might find as you're doing this, maybe you want to place the big toe back down first. That's easier for me to do too, so you can always do that as well. But you're just fanning the foot. up in a ripple. And now reverse that. So lift the baby toes, middle toes, big toe. And then you can place the baby toe back down. If it's easier to keep doing the big toe, then that's okay. Start with that. It is so hard for some of us. Some people, I've had patients before who I was really thinking this would be challenging for them, and then they just, boom, did it. So everyone is different. A few more. And relax. Shake it out. And we're going to switch feet. So now with that left foot, starting from the beginning, you're lifting the big toe up first, middle toes, baby toe, and placing either big toe down, which is probably more the natural way, or you can go in the reverse, placing the baby toe down first. So big toe lifts, maybe, comes up and around, and down, up. And I'm trying not to move my ankle, but it does help my foot a little bit if I kind of roll with it. I don't know if you can quite tell that I'm doing that. I have a really hard time with my left foot. A few more. Make sure you're not holding your breath. And then reverse. Now baby toes will lift. Or if you're like me, everything lifts at once. So something I'm gonna do here to help myself, I'm gonna hold down my first two toes and then let them lift. And then again, I'm gonna try to lower the baby toe and then, yeah. So you can give yourself a little bit of assistance. It's not cheating. Sometimes you just need that. Or I'm gonna say it's not cheating. One more time, lifting from the baby toes, lowering it down. Shake it out. All right, we got one more annoying footwork thing here. Bear with me. You're going to now put pressure on all of your toes with the exception of your big toes, keeping them down on the floor. See if you can lift just your big toes up. Usually it's pretty easy to get that part. The challenging part would be if you're like, yeah, I've got that pretty well. And then you try to take your hands off and keep your toes down naturally. At least for me, that's where I lose it. So see what you're comfortable with. See what your intrinsic abilities are. A few more. And relax, shake those feet out. One more thing we're gonna do seated here before we stand up. And that is, we're just gonna start with tapping the feet. Kind of like you're walking, just tap, 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 tap at a pretty steady, even beat. Now, see if you can start to speed it up. Keeping the tempo even, go even faster. Now see how fast you can go. Keeping the tempo. Ooh. And once you've lost it, start over. Slow. Back and forth, back and forth. Like you're slapping the top of the foot on the floor. Starting to speed it up. Keep going as fast as you can. Oh, and relax those feet. That starts to burn at the front of your shins a little bit. All right, let's stand it all the way up. Feet hip width apart. Close your eyes and just take inventory. I know for me, definitely feeling that kind of tingly awakeness in my feet. And I feel like my feet are more connected to the ground, almost like they're a little flatter. So hopefully you feel something like that. Just some kind of difference from before and after. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of my seat now. I'm gonna bring my chair over just to demonstrate if you need the chair, you need a wall as we start doing some of this other work. That's not a problem. You can have your hand here, but you don't need to have it either if you don't need it. So hands at your sides. Actually, I lied. Hands are going to come around your spine. So find that meaty, muscly part that sits around the spine. Put your fingertips on it. We're going to face forward, and I just want you to notice how when we move from the feet, how the rest of the body responds. So if you can, close your eyes. And if you're holding onto a wall or a chair, you can just switch sides with your hands. Not a big deal. If the hand position's not comfortable whatsoever, keep your arms down and just see if you can tap into your back in terms of sensation. So, starting in a stacked position, ribs over the hips, fingertips along those rope-like muscle structures. Just start to gently sway from front of the foot to the back of your feet. Notice as you do this, where your body naturally wants to tense, and then what muscles around your trunk start to activate and when. A lot of times when we start swaying, people will want to lock their knees out. So see if you can keep your knees soft. And noticing the response of your body as your weight shifts. Now find where you feel like you're in the center or stand on the center of your feet. Weight not too far forward, not all the way back. And start to gently sway side to side. Noticing how as the feet start to push you from left to right, that there start to be some changes in how your legs activate or release, and how that even stems up into your back where your fingertips are. And just let the feet naturally, or toes I should say, just kind of naturally lift if they want to. Now let's go ahead and start to circle our bodies. So it's like you're staying in a straight line here, not breaking from the hip at all. Your feet are pushing you to one side, helping to shift you forward towards your toes, side, and then back towards your heels, just gently making that circle. And reverse. Again, notice when you feel your abs maybe kick in a little more versus when you feel those back muscles kick in a little more. One more circle. And relax your arms and open your eyes. So all that to say, as the feet gently move, your body sways and it reacts and responds to your weight shifting. And that's essentially what balance is. Balance is not meant to be 100% static. We are perfectly symmetrical the whole time. Every muscle is contracting all at the same time, the same amount. That's just not how balance works. Balance is dynamic. Everything is going to shift and it's going to change whether your body is perceivably moving or not. So to start with, again, you can have that chair, that wall if you need it. I want you to start with both feet flat, weight is even. Now just simply shift, pick up a foot, and then come down. Shift and pick up and lower. Noticing the response of your body as you shift and go to that one leg. If you notice that you're locking out your knee, or your weight shifts to any one extreme, forward on the foot or the back of the foot, just see if you can find that middle ground where you're not relying on your joints for stability. and you're keeping that weight centered. Good. And now as we go over, you're going to hold. If this is challenging for you, just continue to gently sway and just see if you can hold a little more each time. If you're actually holding the leg up with me, notice how your foot, it's dancing a little bit, right? And that little bit of dancing in the foot is going to change what we start to feel up through our body. If you're feeling a lot of calf work here, again, pay attention to whether or not your knee is locked out and if your weight's really shifted towards your toes, and then see if you can unlock that knee and shift your weight back. So for me, my knee's not necessarily bent, I'm not in a squat, but that's me locked out and that's me soft. So I've just got that soft knee. Place that foot down, kind of shake out that right leg. And now we're gonna do the same thing with going to the left. So starting with both feet flat, ribs stacked over the pelvis, right? Not flaring forwards. Shift, pick up the foot, and come down. And as you sway, again, noticing how the body changes, how it interacts with itself, to stay stable and upright. You might notice some differences from left to right with this. See if you can hold a little longer each time. One more sway. And now go ahead, shift all the way to your left foot. Pick your right leg up. You can even bring your right leg back depending on how it feels on your hip. Just hold and balance. Your foot will start the dance. Whoop. Make sure you're not locking out your knee. Keeping your weight as centered as you can. Ribs stay stacked over the hips. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. And then relax that foot down. Shake it out. All right, so we're gonna progress that and go into some more challenging balance work. If that was challenging enough, then by all means, please stick with that a little bit, and then you can pause the video, and then you can always try to work your way up into it. If that felt pretty easy for you, let's continue following along. So now we're gonna strictly shift our weight onto our right leg, pick that left foot up, and make sure you just get set. So again, soft knee, not necessarily bent, just soft, weight centered, ribs stacked over the pelvis. From here, you're just gonna gently make like a little running motion with your left leg. Back and front. Notice how that gentle movement is shifting your body slightly. So at least for me, as my leg goes back, I notice I slightly shift forward. And as my leg comes up, it actually shifts my weight back a little bit. Breathing. Softness in the knee. You might be feeling your calf a little bit more here. Just make sure that if you are, it's not because you're locking that right leg out. You can gently move your arms too, if that feels more natural. And then place that foot down, shake it out, and let's switch to the left. So shift that weight, soft knee, center yourself, bring that foot up, find your balance, and then we're just gonna gently go back and front. Don't worry about making the movement really big here. That's not what this is about. Even just the tiniest bit of external factor, whether it be wind, your body moving in space while you're balancing, it's just meant to show you how your body shifts, kind of goes with the flow to keep you on one leg at a time. And how those foot muscles have to work really hard as your body does slightly shift and change positions. move the arms if that feels more natural. One more. And place that foot down, shake it out. Let's just do a little roll down here for a second. So tuck your chin towards your chest. Round it down. Take a breath in at the bottom. Exhale as you round all the way up, keeping your arms long, driving the tailbone towards the floor. Oh, that felt nice. Come all the way back to standing. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. Exhale, round it down. Taking a breath in. Exhaling up. All right. From here, I'm going to do two more. I don't want to call them basic balance movements because they're more than basic, but things that don't really involve hip hinging, I should say. So this next one, I grabbed my water bottle, had a little bit of water in it to make it a little heavier. If you have a dumbbell at home or a kettlebell, you could even just use a towel to sway back and forth. I just wanted to choose something with a little bit of weight. If you still need assistance, you can have it, you'll just sway it back and forth. Otherwise, what we're gonna do is we're gonna gently switch hands as we balance. And just notice how that gentle swaying side to side, our body will have to respond to that. So, starting with your feet hip width apart, shift to your right foot, feel centered, soft knee, ribs stacked. Lift that left leg just back behind you so it doesn't get in your way. And now, gently start to sway that water bottle or weight or whatever you have. And just take note of your body. I can tell that for me, I feel a lot more work in my quad with this one. That's because it's wanting to pull me slightly forward since this is weighted. So I'm trying to stay back a little bit. Breathing as you go. One more each. And relax that foot down, shake it out. Woo! It's more work than you'd think, right? And let's go to the other side. So feet hip width apart, rib cage stacked over the hips. Shift to your left foot. Stay balanced. The center of the foot, maybe even a little bit back with this one. Knees soft. And now we start with that gentle sway. Breathing. Good. Keeping that weight back, not going to the toes. Supporting your back by way of that stacked rib cage position over your pelvis. One more time. And place that foot down, shake it out. Let's do one more standing roll down. Inhale. Exhale. Chin to your chest. Round it down. All the way to the floor, or as far as you can comfortably. Take a full breath into your back. Exhale to round up, driving your heels down, tucking your tailbone under, coming up one vertebrae at a time. All right, we have one more balance exercise. So, again, you might want to chair for this one if those first two balances felt really shaky, mostly because you're getting fatigued, but also now because we're going to be moving our eyes around. So part of dynamic balance, I should say, and that includes walking, because walking is essentially just fast balancing. we almost are never just staring at one thing, right? So a lot of times when we practice balance, say like when we're post-op or it's just a new exercise for us, people will tell us to pick a spot and focus on it, and that is extremely helpful. But in the real world, we're looking all over the place. We're talking to people, we're multitasking as we balance. So it's good to try to practice some kind of simulation of that when we're doing this stuff. So let's start shifting your weight onto your right foot, finding that position where you feel centered and grounded, ribs over the hips. Lift that left foot up. And now you don't have to move your head, but just start to kind of dart your eyes around. Up, down, side to side, wherever they want to go. Really make sure you're breathing here. And you'll notice there might be some more movement in your body now. And relax, shake it out. Oh, honestly, depending on how much mobility you have in your eyes or how much tension you hold in your face and jaw, literally just doing that might make your eyes just feel kind of tired because you don't do a lot of eye exercises like that. Shift to the left foot, soft knee, weight centered, body stacked, lifting the foot. And now we dart. Make those eyes go all over the place. Breathe. And relax. Close your eyes for a second. Standing on both feet. And hopefully you have a little more of an appreciation for how your body has to kind of ebb and flow and shift and change as you balance, and how your feet play such an important role in that. Take a final breath in as your arms lift up overhead. Exhale as you round forward and down. Breath in at the bottom. Exhale as you round all the way up. Hands can just stay down and relaxed. Coming all the way to standing. And we are done. I hope that you enjoyed that video and hopefully learned some things about balancing, and that you take that with you in more of your challenging Pilates movement practices.